My nose is falling off, my fingers are freezing, but this is the beginning of our Scandinavian adventure. We have landed from Cape Town in Oslo, and we're only here for a couple of days. It's the gateway to our whole Scandinavian tour, but we're right on top of the Akershus military fortress, which is a medieval building that's been part of the culture around the Oslo fjord. And from this incredible view, we can see the city hall, big red brick building, going down to the marina, and then there's like a creamy colored building, which is the Nobel Peace Museum. Youngest Geri-Antics member of the team actually carries the cases. He doesn't need to drag them. I think we should take him more often. Finally giving up and putting on a jacket.
Now I'm putting a jacket on.
Not being so South African anymore.
Now I'm cold, now I'm cold.
So this is Oslo, we've arrived. So, pro tip, we got ourselves eSIM cards, and that was very clever of us. Small detail, we can't get them to connect, so we can't get the money, we can't get the maps, we can't get the directions. So Ryan and I are on a mission, and I'll tell you something, there is not a single cell phone shop around. They have a thing called MyCall, and it's like obscure, so we're trying to find this MyCall to get help. Let's hope they can do it. This is just so like Mojo Market and Times Square at the Victorian Albert waterfront, except we're in Oslo. We're walking right through the middle of Akershus, which these days is still a military centre, but they tend to use it more for functions and events and military sort of get-togethers, but it's pretty much a lot of it is as it was. First medieval, and then it became more like this during the Renaissance era. It is so cold that I'm wearing really good gloves, and yet we found where all the locals swim, even at this time of the year. So they go in as a sauna, and you can see this like logs sort of burning away, and then when you've had your sauna, you grab the rail and you go for a dip in this freezing water. Well, they do. I'm not going to. I don't think he will either. Here is an iconic building, if ever there was one. This is the City Hall of Oslo. On the other side, it looks out on the fjord, but it's such a recognizable shape because this is the one you see featured on documentaries and news every single year when the Nobel Peace Prize is handed out, because that ceremony takes place every single year on the 10th of December right here. And the 10th of December is the anniversary of Alfred Nobel's passing. And right next to the marina is a must-do. We're going to have to go in there. That is the Nobel Peace Museum. We're looking through the window of the Nobel Peace Center just to show you how close it is to where the City Hall is, where they actually hand out the prizes every single year. But now we're in the actual Nobel Peace Center, and it basically celebrates and talks and explains the stories of everybody who's won the Peace Prize right from the beginning over the years. And here's something for our friends back home. The Mandela Hall. Oslo's iconic opera house was built deliberately to become part of the landscaping and the icebergs, but the attraction of it is they've made it in such a way that you feel included, and it must be the only opera house in the world that you can walk up on top of the roof to enjoy the view with a sandwich in your hand. I've never come across a library quite like this. It's been deliberately designed to be what they call a community space. In fact, they refer to it as the third space. Not home, not work, and yet you can kind of do both there. It's exquisite. The use of light and the architectural lines are magnificent. Completely doing as spontaneous as we tend to do. Because remember, we're not with groups or bookings or anything. We kind of go where the wind blows us. And right now, where the wind wants to blow us, on this Sunday is the Fram Viking Museum. So apparently we have to get on a boat in order so to do. So here we are, heading across the Oslo fjord, which is just in the area we've been describing. There's the town hall again, and we're heading for Viking country. Where do you buy your tickets? Well, it might be useful to know that you can just jump on spontaneously and buy your tickets while you're actually on board. This whole area has got 3 museums: the Kon-Tiki Museum, the Maritime Museum, and the Fram Museum, which contains the famous polar expedition ship that went to the North Pole and the South Pole during its time. Fram, by the way, means forward in Norwegian. We just walked into the Fram Museum, which is accessible on a ferry, which we've just taken from the marina, I suppose, in Oslo. And we are immediately, having walked into the museum, confronted by this quite famous sight of the Fram boat, ship, I suppose it is. Allegedly the strongest wooden boat ever built, and holds records for having been the furthest north and the furthest south. So it is a boat that was designed for breaking ice, literally. And this museum is the interactive experience of what going on these expeditions might have been like. It was kind of a celebration of the golden era, if you like, of the Norwegian Arctic polar expeditions. It's astonishing what human beings do in the name of science and expeditions and explorations. But this is made out of balsa wood, effectively, and this is the Kon-Tiki craft that in 1947 Thor Heyerdahl set off from Peru to see whether he could get all through that part of the planet without actually seafaring vessel engines and things like that. So it meant using trade winds and natural phenomena. It was a journey of 101 days, as it turned out, but they made it, and they landed up in Polynesia. And looking at this enormous piece of flat wood, no, I don't think I could happily do that for 101 days. It's amazing, though. They survived and proved it could be done. We've just come in from the Oslo fjord area in search of hot coffee. So we thought we'd try a really interesting looking coffee shop with people mainly sitting outside, but inside it's absolute magic. This is exactly the kind of coffee shop you want to be in. Maximum temperature out there is 0, so this is the place to be. And it's full of atmosphere and energy. And people are doing what they call in Norway fika. So it's a compulsory stop, and you come and get your coffee and your pastry. But I have to say, as South Africans, it's a bit ouch on the purse. Yikes. But unlike Geri-Antics, Ryan seems to be hungry every 5 minutes. So we've just spotted a wagon in the central area. We're near the Viking Museum. And of course, we have to make a pit stop to find something to eat. Well, that's a different menu, so Ryan has settled on a moose burger. Of course, that's exactly what you've got to have when you're in Oslo.
I'm so curious about this moose burger.
So the moose meat is a little bit stronger than regular, and we make it with the cranberry sauce, so it gets like, it's a Norwegian traditional dish, and we made it into a burger.
I've been eating the moose burger, and this is unbelievably delicious.
So this is a local supermarket called Rima 1000.
Is around the corner.
We've discovered, like everywhere else in this way, there's not a single person in sight to actually check us out. We're way too South African in what we're used to. So Ryan is actually hopefully checking it out correctly. Apparently this palace is one of the few to actually be occupied by the resident king and queen, which is what we're looking at here. Today it stands on Bellevue Hill, and it looks all the way down the main thoroughfare of Oslo called King Johan's Gate. So, recording in on how difficult it is to travel by yourself. The trains are incredibly efficient, but we're now trying to get up to the top of the Alpine ski slope with words that I'm not even going to start pronouncing. And it's not that straightforward. It's taken us half an hour just to figure out on the Google Maps how to get here. But I think we've got the right ticket. Not every day you see people carrying skis in their luggage. It's so cool. This is our first sighting of snow. We're going up to the ski slope above Oslo on the metro, and I didn't know this, but it's snowing. That's awesome. It wasn't in the small print, but it's fantastic. And Willy has never seen snow before, not properly, so this is a big moment. It's beautiful, it really is. So the man from Clarkstorp is finally putting his feet in snow. That's a bit of a culture shock. In terms of difficulties if you're traveling alone, this one's not an easy one. It would have been easy with a group if somebody booked us, I suppose, but we used our GPS system. And here's the ski slope, following it down to where everybody's watching in the stadium. It's quite a sight. This is the same building now from the other side. We're inside the main entrance where you buy your ticket. And you go into where the exhibits are. Apparently there's 4,000 years, it said, of history of skiing.
Enjoy the next part of Geri-Antics. See you in Sweden.
Enjoy your bit down in, where are you?
Stay tuned for next time as we go visit Sweden.
It looks like Christmas. It's absolutely beautiful. And there's bells chiming in the background.